we're going to invest 25,000 into a government bond which pays the following amount of interest. Now, you need to convert it into decimals, which means you need to 3% would be 0.03. 30% would be 0.3. So 3.5% would be 0.035. Everybody cool with that? Then we add the two of them together to get what? What happens when you add it to 1? You get 1.03. That means you're adding on 3.5% automatically. How many years are you going to do it for? You're going to throw all that into the calculator. And what you should get is 29,692 euro. Right? Now, that's worth 10 marks. It'll be on. Nice, isn't it? Now, next problem is small changes in interest rate can have huge impact on savings as well as borrowings. Also, what this means is that they want 12 monthly installments to be worth 1 yearly. So what they want is a rate that will add on 3% at the end of the year. So what's going to happen is you're going to save for 12 months. At the end of each month, I'm going to give you a small sum of money extra. And what we want is when I do this 12 times, I want it to equal what you'd get if I gave you 3%, or sorry, 3% at the end of the year. So here's what I do in your shoes. Okay, you all know the formula F equals P 1 plus I times T. Cool with that? Now, see this part here. Would everybody agree? It's usually a number like, for example, it'd be if it was 1.03, the answer would be 3%. If it was 1.025, what would the answer be? 2.5%, wouldn't it? If the answer was 1.13, if the blue part was 1.13, what would the interest be? 13%. It's whatever comes behind the decimal. If I gave you 1.019, what would the answer be that time? 1.9%. So we're going to change this to the letter X, okay? Now, next thing is pick a sum of money, any sum of money. I'm going to pick 100 euro because it's easy. I invest 100 euro, so my p-value will be 100. Everybody cool with that? If I do it monthly, how many times am I going to increase it? 12. Okay? Now, what they say is when I do this, it has to be the same amount as if I increased it once by 3%. What happens when you increase 100 euro by 3%? What do you get? It's 103, okay? So, does everybody get that? They want, when I do the monthly rates, they want the monthly rate 12 times to be the same thing as a yearly rate of 3%. Now, how do you get X on its own? What's the first thing you need to do? Bring the 100, which is multiplication on the left, to what? Division on the right. Finally, how do you get rid of the 12? Have a better one for you, right? What happens if you have x squared equals 25? What do you do? But you square root it, didn't you? And the square root technically has a 2 there. Likewise, if I said x powered 3 equals 27, what would you do? You do the cubed root of. So what do you think you're going to do to this question? You're going to do the 12th root of 103 over 100. Okay? And when you do that, you should get an answer of 1.00246. Okay? Now think about this earlier, Paul. If the answer was 1.03, what would the answer be? 3%. But there's nothing underneath the 3 is 0, so it's going to be 0.2. 2466%. That was asked to prove. Yep. Difficult question. That's a high level question. Very difficult. Okay, move on. Out here. Now, this question basically says, how many months would it take to overtake your question in part A? What was the answer in part A? 29,000 and something, wasn't it? Was that the answer from part A? Ever killed that? Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do 69 months and we're going to do 70 months. And what we're hoping is that 69 months is below this number and 70 months is above this number. You cool with that? So what we're going to do is F equals, you invest 25,000. What's our monthly rate? It's 1 plus 0.02466. Is that what we said last time? Oh, sorry. No. It's already converted, isn't it? 0.2466%, isn't it? And to convert that into percent, you have to divide by 100. Yeah? So it's essentially the same answer we had here. See this answer here? That's what we're using. So 1.02466. And we're going to do that to the power of 69. And we're also going to do that to the power of 70. Sure, all having a great time at home. So, what are you expecting both answers to be? One of them to be below this answer and one of them to be above this answer. The first answer, the 69, is 29,631, which is smaller than the answer in part A. But when you put it in to the power of 70, you get 29,704. So it's clear to see that you pass it. You pass it at 70. So you write a little note saying it's underneath it at 69, but it's above it at 70. This proves it passes it out after 70 months. All good? Okay. I hope there's not more. That was Paxton. Oh, beautiful. All right. Read the description really slowly, okay? The number of people exiting a concert venue can be modeled using the following function. Here. PT is the number of people and T is the time in minutes after the concert finishes. How many people are expected to exit immediately after T equals 0? Well, that's handy, because what we know is that we just put in 0, and it tells us that 160 people are exiting. When you start the clock, 160 people are currently leaving. All right? 160 people have left. Now, how long does it take all people to exit the venue after the concert finishes? Well, what do you think I'm going to do? Have a guess. What do you think I'm going to do? Table function. 7 x minus x squared plus 160. Start at 0, end at 20, step at 1. Right. So, 160, oh sorry, I'm still in science mode. Back to normal. 160 people leave at the beginning, and after 1 minute, 168, 86, 210, 232, 252, 270, 286, 300, 312, 322, 330, 336, 342, 342 twice. Ever see 342 twice? In minute 13, 342 people leave. In minute 14, 342 people leave. Somewhere in between 13 and 14 is the maximum. I would claim it's 13.5, but you guys halfway in between. But what happens then? You're on your way down. Haven't got enough data points, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at 15. I'll end at 40, and I'll see if it comes all the way down. So we all agree our maximum was 14.5. Keep going down. There we go. 32 minutes, nobody leaves. That must mean your venue is empty. Does that make sense? So, we know the answer is 32. How do we prove it? Multiply both sides by minus and rearrange. I get to cheat here. Why? Because I know one of the answers is. I know one of the answers is 32. You can always do the minus b. Did the minus b, the a value be 1, the b value be minus 27, and the c value be minus 160. You throw all this in the calculator, and that's t plus 5. You get two answers. Time can't be negative, or time is 30. You all good? Right. Now, and next thing, it's going to ask me to do what I've already done. What I've already done is I've thrown this into the table function. Start at 0, end at 30, do a step of 5, and write down all the points that I've already written on the board. Okay? Now, when you draw this, you could always do extra points if you weren't sure. Okay? But you're going to be asked to draw this, no doubt. And when you draw it, it looks like this. It's a standard U-shaped curve. Where does the maximum occur again? Should be at about 14.5, shouldn't it? Where's 14.5? Probably around here for me. Either way, just follow your dots. And if you aren't sure about the graph, just do extra points. Have a go at that? Now, use your graph to estimate the time interval for which the number of people expected to exit the venue will exceed 250. When is it bigger than 250? I have a way of cheating this, don't I? What can I do? Anywhere from 4 minutes to 4 to 24, maybe. See the way I'm looking at the numbers? So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to start at 4. You're going to end at 24. You're going to do a step of 1, and look what happens. Would you agree that's t equals 4 is above 250? Is above 250, isn't it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When does it go below 250? I'd say all the way from 4 up to. And now I already have that. Guess what I can do? 250, right? Well, that one's 4. And this one is 23. I know because I pretty much cheated the answer already, didn't I? But to me, that's just smart. It's not cheating, it's just smart. Right? You don't even have to second guess yourself. From 4 minutes to 23. Which is 19 minutes. The marking scheme actually wants you to say 19 minutes. It says it has an error of plus or minus a minute. So if you've got 20 minutes or 18 minutes, you get full marks. Anything outside that, you lose marks, okay? Now, if you weren't sure in the test how to figure out what value that is, okay? What you could do is you can get a ruler, like so, and you just bring your ruler down, okay? And for argument's sake, let's say it was, it's 2.5 centimeters wide. Would everyone agree with that? So 2.5 centimeters wide. is equal to 5. Divide it by 5 and you get 0.5 of a centimeter equals 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. See the way it's nearly bang on the 4? Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, to be honest, if I was to use my graph properly, that's not 23, that's a 20. That's 24 for me, isn't it? So my answer would be 20, because I slightly made a mistake on my graph there, didn't I? It wasn't well drawn. So do you see what I'm getting at? See the way you can figure it out by using your ruler to figure out exactly what point it is, okay? All tricks. Now, explain what the area of the curve and the horizontal axis means. It just means the total number of people that are leaving. Okay? This is an honest question, if I'm being honest. Everything in the y-axis is people. And when you add it all up together, you just get the total amount of people that left. So for example is in the 18th second, 322 people left. In the 19th second, 312 people left. If you add up all these numbers, that's how many people are actually in the stadium. If you add up each number together, that's how many people are in the actual stadium. That's how many people are actually at the event, or how many people actually left. Don't worry about that question. All right. Oh, beautiful. What do we already know? We already know the maximum occurs where? What did we say earlier? Somewhere between 13 and 14, yeah? And look at this cheat way of doing it. Start at 13, end at 14, go up in a step at 0.1. Bam, bam, bam. What's our maximum? 342.25. Everybody okay with that? Now, I actually have to prove it. If I do this correctly, I'll get 14.5. Now, how do we differentiate this? Sorry, is it 14.5? Sorry, if I do this correctly, I'll get 13.5. So differentiate, what you get when you differentiate the first part? 27, the second part? Third part? Put it equal to 0 because it's the maximum and the slope is 0. Then you figure out that 27 equals 2t and t equals 13.5. Now what's the problem with what I just did there a second ago? This doesn't belong here. That actually belongs down there. It only wants the derivative. It doesn't want you to do the full question. So all of that belongs down here. Now, it wants the maximum number of people. How do I find that then? Insert 13.5 back into the original equation. And what's the great thing? I already have the answer. 342.25. Now, because it's people, you'd imagine that you're only allowed rounds down, aren't you? So I'd say 342. Yeah, 342 people. It doesn't make sense to have a fraction of a person. Real good. Let's drive on. Alright, is this the last question? Oh, there is a D. I thought we already did that. Oh, it wants us to use the algebra methods. Remember earlier we said it was 4 minutes to 32. Does that make sense? That's what we said earlier. But there's a new method for doing this as well. We can do what's called the algebra method. Now what's the formula? The formula is 27 times time minus t squared plus 160. Okay? Now what happens if we equal 250? What will happen there? We're going to find out the times it hits 250 at, aren't we? Now we're expecting the answer to be 4 and We're sort of expecting the answer to be close to 4 and 32, aren't we? That makes sense. Not exactly, but close. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring everything to the right. Actually, it'll just make things easy. I'm going to bring everything to the right. I'm going to get t squared minus 27t plus 90 equals 0. Does that make sense? Now, oddly enough, this is a minus b formula question. Doesn't look like it, but it is. I'll put the equals 0 over the other side then. What's your a value, Paul? 1. B value? Minus b value? C value? I'm going to do 1 minus b formula for the people at home. You should really know the minus b formula by now if you already don't. Now, 27 plus or minus b squared is minus 27 squared minus 4 times 1 times 90 all over 2 times 1. Now, one last time, remember you put all this into calculator, you do the plus value first, so you do 27, press the fraction button first, 27 plus square root minus 27 squared. You'd be surprised how many times people will make a mistake in here. Over 2 times a. The first answer is 23.1. Sorry, the answer wasn't 32, it was 23. So just go back a step. Yeah, 23 and 4, wasn't it? So what we're claiming now is that the answer is, we're claiming the answer is 23.1. And the other answer should be, you go back and you change that to a negative 3.9. So what we claiming, that you need the additional stewards between 3.9 and 23.1. You're going to need the additional stewards for 19.2 minutes. Alright. See, one method was the graphical way, and the other method is the algebra way, and the algebra way is usually more accurate. Good. Awesome. Alrighty. This should be relatively easy. Just grey tiles versus white tiles, and you just count the number of grey tiles. Everybody cool with that? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Now, it's a linear sequence, which means we're going to use the Tn formula. And we're going to get Tn, and what's your A value is 1, your D value is 2. So you're going to get 2n minus 2, and you're going to get Tn equals 2n minus 1. Now, what might we change it to at the end? Instead of Tn, we might just change it to Gn. Why are we changing it to Gn? Says it in the question, doesn't it? Any questions on that one? Alrighty. Question. Are we looking for G40 or Gn equals 40? Are we asked for how many grey tiles in the 40th pattern, or what pattern has 40 grey tiles? Is it T40 or G40 is what we're looking for. So G40 is 2 times 40 take away 1. The reason being is Gn equals 2n take away 1. Into the calculator with that, you should get 79 tiles, is it? $79. Alright. Next part. Show that the total number of grey tiles in the first n stages of the pattern is equal to this. Now, I don't know, I'm looking for Sn. How do I know I'm looking for Sn? In total. So if we go back to our original diagram, okay? And they claim it's n squared. So if n equals 1, what's the answer? 1 squared, which would be 1. There's one grey tile in stage 1. What happens if I put in n equals 2? What's the answer then? 4. Is there 4 grey tiles in pattern 2? But there's 4 grey tiles in total. You get what I'm saying? And what happens if we put in n3? What do we get here? 9. Is there 9 grey tiles in the first 3 patterns? See the way it works? It tells you the total amount of grey tiles in all the patterns combined. So that means we're definitely using a SN formula. What's our A value again? 1. Our D value? 2. Throw it into the formula and see what happens. So, n over 2 into 2 times A, which is 2 times 1, 2. D is 2, so it's going to be 2n minus 2. Now it's going to be n over 2 into 2n. N by 2n is 2n squared divided by 2, which in turn equals n squared. Okay. Alright. That is an example of a linear pattern. The next one is a quadratic pattern. So, let's take a crack with the quadratic pattern. First of all, I drew the last stage here. Everybody see the last stage? I already drew it in. Now, how do I know this? Well, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it goes 1, 3, 5. The next amount of grey will be 7 grey tiles. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 grey tiles. Now, we're not counting grey tiles, we're counting white tiles. So the white tiles are 3, 6, 11, 18, and 27 when you count them. Okay? Now, what you might be asked next is, you're probably asked to prove it's a quadratic pattern. Show that the white tiles forms a quadratic sequence. How do I prove that? Anybody tell me? First difference is not the same, it's not linear. But if the second difference is the same, what can we say? Second difference is constant. It's a quadratic. Okay. Now, just in case you don't get this, I've read ahead. I know they give it to you, but I just want to make sure. Are you looking? What's the A value? Half the second difference will be half of 2 is 1. But look, they gave it to you already. They already subbed out the A value, didn't they? So you're only after the B and the C. Now, what's W1? How many white patterns in the first sequence? W1 is 3 and W2 is 6. So W1 is 3 and W2 is 6. W1 equals 3, W2 equals 6. Okay, what we're going to do here, guys? Let me remember. And we're driving my memory. What do I put into the brackets? Huh? Nope. I put 1. And then because I use 1, the answer is 3. And because I use 2, the answer is 6. W2 equals 6, W1 equals 3. It matches the description. Okay? Now, what happens when you square 1 squared? Just 1. And then move 1 over the other side, and what happens? So we get b plus c equals 2. And then underneath there, we're going to get 4 and 2b. So what happens when you move 4 over the other side? Comes minus 4. And what's 6 minus 4? Yep. So all of a sudden, you got yourself a simultaneous equation. I'm going to multiply the yellow equation by minus 1. And I multiply the yellow equation by minus 1. I'm going to find out that b actually equals 0. Because b equals 0, I then know that c must equal 2. Okay? What's the actual formula? Anybody know? N squared plus bn plus c. So it's n squared. Now what happens to b? Bn? It's 0, isn't it? Because b is 0, and then c. Would everybody be happy with the answer? N squared plus 2. Any way of checking your answer? Yeah. If you sub in 1, you get an answer 3. 3 white tiles for pattern 1. If you sub in 2, you get a value of 6. 6 patterns for W2. If you sub in 3, you get 3 squared is 9. 9 plus 2. Pattern 3 will have 11 white tiles. Does that match the numbers in the last page? Yes, it does. You got the correct numbers. Alrighty, let's move on. Alright, question. Are we doing Wn equals 40 or W40? No. How many white tiles are in stage 40? Not how many white tiles there are in total in the first 40 patterns. So it's a stage 40 only. Stage 40 only would be W40. That will give you 40 squared plus 2. 1,602, I think. Yeah. You got that? Now, what you want to do here? You can throw into the calculator and see what it does. And here's what it'll spit out. It'll spit out S1 is it'll spit out S1 is 3, S2 is 9, then it'll spit out S3 is 20, and then it'll spit out S4 is 38. And here's what else. W1 is 3, W2 is 6, W3 is 11, and W4 is 18. So what's it doing? It's adding them together, isn't it? So you want S40, the total number for the first 40 patterns. So all you need to do is replace n with 40 and you're done. Throw it all into the calculator. And you should get an answer of 22,220 tiles. Pretty damn large, isn't it?